Hi, it's me again. And yeah, I've been a bit quiet lately, much like the story I thought we could start off with today, but I'm going to pick up again. Excuse the nice backdrop, it's a bit nicer than usual, isn't it? But did you see this headline? Look, BBC asked Hugh Edwards to return the salary he was paid after his arrest. So he was arrested in November. We didn't hear nothing about it, did we? But there were extra charges and he was arrested in November, to which he's now pled guilty. The BBC had given him a pay rise at some point also, and now they'd like, well, would it be possible for you to give us our money back? The BBC would have known 100% that he had been arrested in November. They would have known. There's no way they could not have known about that. So why didn't they just stop his pay then? Why are they asking for it back now? They could have terminated his contract there and then. But no, it's again, the BBC just protecting people once again. It's ridiculous. And it's quite a few quid. Look. It comes after the Culture Secretary has urged the disgraced newsreader to return his salary, while she also asked the BBC to look into whether it can recoup an estimated £200,000 paid to Edwards between his arrest and resignation. Now, £200,000, where's my calculator? So, £200,000 divided by 169.50. Fuck that right up, hang on. £200,000 divided by £169.50 is 1,179.9. So I call it 1,180 households. Households. That's a small town of people who paid their TV licence fee so that Hugh Edwards could have another 200 grand from when he was arrested on these charges until now. And we're all right with that, are we? The BBC just protecting another one of its own. Ridiculous. A statement from the corporation said if Edwards had been upfront when asked by the BBC about his arrest, we would never have continued to pay him public money, and added he had undermined trust in the BBC and brought us into disrepute. If Edwards had been upfront when the BBC asked about his arrest, well, the BBC must have known what charges on the arrest, and added he's undermined trust in the BBC and brought us into disrepute. What was he suspended for again, BBC? He'd already brought you into disrepute. Why was his contract not terminated? After, when you put him on suspension, whoever was in charge of that at the BBC, when you put him on suspension, why did you continue to pay him? Is it because he played the mental health card or something? What was it that caused that? Why was his contract not immediately terminated? Give him a bit of gardening leave, pay him whatever you have to pay him by law to get rid of him, but get rid of him. Why was he continuing to be paid? He's brought the BBC into disrepute because he didn't tell you the truth about his arrest. He was already suspended for things that brought the BBC into disrepute. They're absolutely ridiculous, aren't they? The corporation was informed that Edwards had been arrested in November 23 but continued to employ the veteran broadcaster until April, when Edwards resigned on medical advice. Medical advice or legal advice? The BBC veteran pleaded guilty to making indecent images of that, with the court hearing he'd be involved in an online chat with an adult man, we all know that, who sent him 377 images, 41 were indecent of those, and he pled guilty. He was already suspended by the BBC for certain acts, and then he was arrested again. Who's running the BBC? Remind me. The board has met a number of times over the last week to review information provided by the executive relating to Hugh Edwards. The board's focus has been principally around two issues. Okay. Firstly, what was known in the lead up to Mr. Edwards being charged and pleading guilty last Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. Today, the board has authorised the executive to seek the return of the salary paid to Mr. Well, that he doesn't have to give it back, does he? Whilst the nature of the charges against Edwards in relation to his own personal life, the board believes these events also, I don't care. There's nothing here legally that he has to pay it back. The man's now unemployed. He's going to be unemployable. You're not going to see that 200 grand back, BBC. It's done. It's done. 180 households have done their money. Let's say that was your household, because it could well have been. I know it's a little share from everyone, but let's pretend that your household, if you pay the licence fee, paid that money directly to Edwards to sit there on leave. How do you feel about that? I bet you feel like not paying the BBC very much anymore, don't you? And you shouldn't. Nobody should be paying this corporation. Stand on your own 2 feet. If anything, this just proves how bad the corporation is yet again. Not that I needed to prove anything, but it does prove it again, doesn't it? If you still pay the BBC, you need to consider not paying them anymore. It's very easy to do. You can either tell them you don't want to pay or just stop paying. And as long as you don't watch or record anything that's being broadcast or access BBC iPlayer, you don't need to pay them anymore. If you want to learn more about what you can and can't watch if you don't pay the license fee, I've got a video on it. This is the one. I'll put a link to it down below as well on one of them card things. It goes on the left. I think it goes that way. Have a look and it will tell you everything that you need to know to not pay the license fee. And as you can see by the background, all the money I've saved from not paying the license fee has gone to buy me this little gaff in the country. Hey, look at that. It's not mine. It's not mine. I'm just here doing something. Don't worry. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit all the buttons and everything. If you do all that, hopefully I'll see you in another video again soon. Ta-da.